this computer. Hi, this is Sheila Thelen, Champion Skating Harnesses. I'm just going to run through this new on-ice harness for you guys pretty efficiently and quickly. I have some videos to show. I have some demonstrators to just show that body harness coming on and off so that everyone's on the same page. And I'm really grateful for you guys in purchasing this harness from me. To be absolutely clear, the part that I'm insuring is the new trolley that goes across the line and the skater to coach section. I'm obviously not going to cover or insure the beam brackets or the line, or if you have a turnbuckle that was installed by a previous company. I have nothing to do with that. If you want to update it with me in the future, for sure, I can help with that. But at this moment in time, I'm only covering that nice little trolley that slides and the skater to coach section. So just to be clear. So what I'm going to take you from is basically the body harness and the components, and then show more of the safety videos from there. So I'm going to just start with the components. So give me just 1 second here, Scott. So as you can see, I'm going to, let me just move this closer so you can see this just a little better here. So I've got the body harness, and the body harnesses come in 3 different sizes. There's a teeny weeny itty bitty one for like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-year-olds that is a 20 to 50 pound body harness. The main harness, our medium-sized body harness, is 50 to 150 pounds. And then the adult body harness is 150 to 200 pounds. Really, after 200 pounds, the coaches can't manage it anyway. And really, that is the vast majority of figure skaters. So the gear really only goes up to about 200 pounds. But for your line installed across the rink, that's probably plenty, okay? So with our body harness, it opens with Velcro. It's nice if the kids don't have mittens on, if they're trying to put on their own harness, because those mittens will get stuck in the Velcro. And most body harnesses last about 4 or 5 years. And eventually the Velcro dies. And I always joke that we tried buckles, we tried buttons, we tried everything in the company. And in the end, Velcro is still the super winner. Okay, so it really does go on and off very easily for your athletes. The biggest trick, and I'll talk about this like 12 more times, is when you're all done with the harness, you always close it up like there's someone in it. There's always an invisible skater, so that Velcro is always closed. Okay, and I'll talk about this more as we come through it. The other components in this harness too are, we've got some nice little fast clips so that you can take the harness on and off very easily to switch harnesses for different level skate or different size skaters. Or you can also unclip a kid, let them go jump a couple times and come back to the harness and hook them back in. So you don't have to keep taking the harness on and off. The skater could go practice a couple jumps without it and then get back in the harness very quickly. From there, these lines, they're probably black on your harness, but mine are red. Let me plug here. There we go. So these lines right here are 8,500 pound breaking strength lines. So together, both sides, you can really hold, 17,000 pounds. So we always talk about this harness could pick up my car. Really a strong harness system. But the whole goal is that it's lightweight. So then that way, if there ever was a failure of the system, my section only weighs 3 pounds, which is lighter than my purse. So if anything did totally fail, the athlete still wouldn't be truly injured in an accident, which is the key, because our theory is everything breaks. So being conscious of that, you have to be realistic. So we've got the spreader bar here. And this is the weakest point to the entire thing, is the spreader bar. And the spreader bar is just a spreader bar. It is not a chin-up bar. And we always talk about my $1 million idea that anyone can take, spinning, swinging chin-up bars, because every little boy wants one in their house. Okay, yeah, but this is not a chin-up bar. So If you teach jumps with their hands up over their heads, that's just fine. And they can rest their fingertips on it, but they can't grip it. And so don't let the kids hang from this point. Following that? Like this is the weakest part. And if this breaks, the spreader bar breaks, then this whole section right here is a $250 repair because it has to be repaired. It can't not work. Okay, so if this bar breaks, it's a $250 repair. I also don't mark it up if it does break. I'll throw it free shipping and 250 bucks. Okay. From there, it goes on to the swivel. And the swivel is probably the greatest part of our product. So with that swivel, this is what allows it to spin so fast. When we converted a bunch of pole harnesses with my swivel, that's how Jason Brown got his quad on some pole harnesses, with like Chris Conti and Nick Perna. So that is really a key part. From there, it'll just go up to the rope that'll then go up to your trolley and then down to the coach. The coach will want to have a couple of nice knots worked in. And it's really nice when you kind of get a kid in there and get a couple knots worked in, just so that the coaches can have better gripping from it. Obviously, things like I don't want to insert my whole body into this rope, because then if the kid falls, I really can dislocate my shoulder. So all the coach needs to do is to hold onto it, hold onto the knot, or put their hand on the loop. They're not going to want to insert themselves. Duh. Okay, basic coaching safety. So I'm going to have Scott put on the body harness here. Let me just quick throw Scott in it, because I want to show you some of the tricks to making it fit nicely. So, hey, Scott. Good old Scott. Always, the spouses of the world. So you open it up and you put it on like a coat. So it goes on like a coat. Okay, then we're going to work the front section first. Eventually, Scott and kids, especially after 8 years old, can put this on themselves. But the first couple times they put it on, I help them. So I want to make sure that they feel what it's supposed to feel like. So then in the future, they can put it on themselves, but then they're putting it on properly. And obviously, I have the athlete face their parent while I'm putting this on them. Okay, so obviously I'm trying not to touch the kid, yet at the same time, for safety's sake, I do have to do it the first several times to make it work. So I'm just going to put you just go through one side of the metal on the rib pad. And the other piece to it too, there's no plastic anywhere in our harnesses. So it's all metal or it's all of the harness. So I'm just going to give it a nice tug and then lay that Velcro flat on the Velcro piece. Thanks for the dogs. They're turning around. And then to adjust the back of it, you can just pinch these clips to loosen them up. And I'm going to slide the spreader bar to his lower scapula. So lower shoulder blades. And then I'm just going to pull to tighten and pull to tighten. Nice and tight so that as he turns around, it's comfy to the chest and the arms. I'm probably going to tighten that a little bit more. When I look at this, the errors, let's look at the errors. So as a brand new harness, the error is that it's new. So like these shoulder loops want to fall off. So what happens is, because it hasn't been broken in and got nice little notches there, especially the first 2 months that you have it, it'll slide off and then it'll just sit on like the Velcro section versus on the entire rib pad. So I want this to sit in totally, not just on just the little Velcro section. It needs to fit on the entire rib pad. Okay, ready? So that sits on the entire rib pad, turning a little bit more. Same thing on this side. This wants to fall off the first month or two. So same thing. I'm just going to slide it on and make sure that it sits on the entire main rib pad. From there, one more time, slide it through the metal buckle. Give it a good tug, and I'm set to go. It doesn't need to be no oxygen. The kid should be able to breathe. But notice an on-ice harness is really only going to have the kid up and into the air and back down less than a half a second. So this doesn't have to be as tight as I'd make an off-ice harness. In an off-ice harness, I'd really crank it down tighter because I'm going to suspend the kid. So this is just a pop up and down, so it's not as big a deal. So let me just put this on and off just one more time just to show how that worked, okay? All right, I'm going to loosen it all up so we can really adjust this thing. Okay, all right, so on like a coat. Okay, Scott facing his parent. Okay, there we go. I just want to get this nice and comfy. This Velcro can lay down on top of the shoulder loop. It's okay if that Velcro lays on top of it. That won't hurt it. It's a really sturdy piece there. Turning around. Okay, so same thing. I'm going to run this spreader bar to their lower scapula. If it's up too high, it's just bringing it too close to their head. So the bars will hit them. So I want them to be nice and low to the scapula, lower shoulder blades. Give it a pull, and then turn. How does he look? You look comfortable. You good?
I'm good.
Oh, you're good. So yeah, very nice. So as he gets out of it, thank you, Scott. Okay, for the next person or the next coach, I'm just gonna close it all up. I'm gonna repeat myself 40 times on this so that it's all ready for the next coach and the next skater. So I always close it up with the Velcro, like there's always an invisible skater in it. If you don't, there's always that one person that doesn't put it away correctly. Okay, all right. What's gonna happen is this will fall off, this will slide off, then this will fall off, you'll lose the D-rings, and the whole thing's a mangled mess for the next coach. And you call me and you're like, oh, we need more D-rings. I'm like, yeah, because you didn't put it away correctly. Okay, so just make sure that always stays, those shoulder lines stay on the main rib pad. Same thing, close it up, and it's ready for the next coach. Does that make sense? I'm so picky about that at my own rink. I'm so picky about that. Okay, let me go on and show more things here too. So I've got a whole bunch of videos to show, really talking about the skater safety and the coach's safety. Also notice that when we look at the harness, the whole goal is that the trolley slides right down that line nice and comfortably. And ours is really lightweight, which is really important so that as the skater, even the little ones, take off, they can get that trolley directly over their heads, which is important. The other thing too, when I look at it from this angle, when I look at that line, I always have the skater skate away from me and then get dragged back so that they can understand they really have to jump right underneath that line. And so I always draw a nice line with a marker or with my heel to make sure that the kids can really see the area that they have to stay right under that harness. Then from there, the other thing for coaches to realize that if a kid really falls hard, that's gonna drag the coach in too. So I always want to talk about safety of the coaches, that you really need to be a good skater. You need to be stronger than the kids skating. And you'll see that in a couple of my videos too. But really, the goal of the coach is to stay nice and parallel with the skater as they go to jump, and that we're just assisting the kid. We're not yanking the kid, because really there's two different rules of thumb for harnesses and different coaching goals of each harness. The on-ice harness, the whole goal is that it feels real to the kids, so that as they jump, they rotate, they snap, they feel the realness of how much time they have in midair and the goals of landing the jump. Whereas the off-ice harness, you can suspend kids and really keep them up there till they learn that position, but two totally different usages. Notice the off-ice harness is from a locked carabiner up at the top, where the kid just goes straight up. It's a triple pulley. It's set for the coaches to really suspend a kid. The on-ice harness is not for that, because with that line 85 feet across the rink with two beam brackets, you try and suspend the kid and they're just going to slide on that trolley. And it's a single pulley, so it'll really pull the coaches off their feet. And it's not designed for that, especially with that really long line. It's not designed to suspend a kid like an off-ice harness is. So really know the usages of the two different harnesses. So I'm gonna screen share. I have a whole batch of nice little videos. I'm sorry, I have a really busy desktop here. Sorry, I'm that person. That's not maybe surprising to all of you how my brain looks here. Here we go. I was recently in Sydney, Australia. So here we go. So I just want to take another picture of what it should look like when you put it away. So once again, when you get the harness, we just work our rope loops into the closed tummy so it doesn't hang on the ice or hit the ice, or like on the other side of the boards, that it wouldn't just be flopping onto the floor. I think that's important that this hole stays clean. Now, I have to comment right here because someone added, I call them fuzzy socks or pool noodles, or that is not necessary. So what's happened is some kid complained, oh, it's hitting me in the head. And I'm like, it's not, because it's tensioned up. So as the skater takes off and the coach is holding on, there's a nice little tension in it, about 1 pound of pressure, so that as a skater jumps, that bar lifts and it doesn't slam them in the head. It's not loose or floppy over their heads. But if it's tensioned, it shouldn't hit them in the head unless the skater does what I call the Beyonce, where they take off and they head flip. So they jump and really move that head like Beyonce. And then, of course, they whack their head into the line, where in reality, if they take off with that head nice and anchored like they should be, it's a teaching moment. So if they say they're hitting their head, it's because they're hitting their head. The gear isn't hitting them. So I was trying to tell you, it doesn't need socks. It doesn't need pool noodles. That's the skater error, not an equipment error. So just saying, just because I get that all the time. And I'm like, what are you doing? But it's 1 or 2 kids that'll complain that they've got, it's hitting them, but that's why. I also want to show just a little quick snippet. Oh, I thought I had it in here of proper storage. I'll find a video here of proper storage. So as we do this, I just want to keep showing some more screens here. So I've got a couple coaches here watching me. Here's me. I don't want to stand too close to the athlete. I do like a decent amount of space between us, but not super far away that's requiring kids to skate between us. And I just want to be able to see pretty much their whole body. So I don't want to stand so close that I can only see their feet or their shoulders. I would just want to be able to have a nice vision of the skater. From there, this skater's right-handed, so I want to make sure that I stand away from her landings. So let me say that one more time, away from her landings. You can also see a little bit on the ice here. I drew a nice little line with my skate all the way across so that the skater has a nice vision of where she belongs in the harness on the ice. So I'm going to show some more videos here. Here we go. Here we go. Oh, so many videos. Oh, so I want to talk about being a strong skater with my athlete. So to be honest, this boy's going to work a triple Lutz, and I need to be a strong enough skater to keep up with him. So I do want to put this concept out there that if the coach is getting older, that's me. I'm getting to be an older coach. And at some point, I need to make sure that my skating skills are equal to what I need to be parallel with the kid and strong enough. At some point, coaches, like we get older, we get frail, we've got an injury, we've got a shoulder injury. The kids outweigh us. The kids are bigger than us. At some point, you do sometimes have to trade lessons with other coaches on the ice because you're just not, it's not safe for you to put that athlete on. So I just want to be really honest about that and talk about our own skating skills. Yet at the same time, myself, Lori Charbonneau, Kate Charbonneau, Paige Lipe here in the Twin Cities, all of us have taught through triple axel as women coaches on a nice installed line. So I always talk about the importance of a great on-ice harness to really help your female coaches, because we really can't pole harness. So I want you to take 1 second on pole harnesses. People call me all the time. They're like, hey, Sheila, we want a pole harness. We're a bunch of women coaches. And I'm like, no, I don't want to sell you this. And I really, really try and talk you out of it because so my story is I use Nick Perna's pole harness. I'm like, okay, Nick, I can do this. And this is like 15 years ago. So I was even younger and my back didn't hurt like it does now. And Nick's like, you can't do it. I'm like, I can do it. I'm going to go for it. So we put on a 6-year-old. Okay, like how hard can it be to pole harness a 6-year-old? Like I'm short, but like it can't be that hard, right? It was terrible. So at the end of 15 minutes, I thought my arms were going to fall off. Super heavy and realized it's just a lever. And as women, we just aren't strong enough. So at the end, the 6-year-old says to me, hey, Coach Sheila, I don't think you're very good at this. And I'm like, thanks, kid. But it proved to me also that women really, really can't pole harness. Okay, so I'll really try and talk you out of that. So there's where that great installed line and off ice harness you can totally run. So like off ice harness, I do it all day long. Doesn't bother my back at all. Very doable. And that on ice harness, you just have to be a good skater still to be able to make sure that you're protecting the athlete. So going back to screen share, let's look at some videos here. So here's me and a boy who's going to triple Lutz. But with that, I just want you to see how we're going to do it. So we're going to skate down the ice. And my favorite direction in this rink is to come back this way so that I can see the ice better and my back isn't to the majority of the ice. He needs to stay under the line. It's not quite there, that triple Lutz. So it's a perfect example of, the kid still needs support. So once again, I'm going to skate down the line with him. I'm going to kind of like boomerang a little bit around the end. And I am getting a little older. So I'm like, hey, give me like 1 or 2 extra steps ahead of you. So I try to get just a little ahead of him so that as we go into this, we have enough space. I'm going to back this up a couple times and talk about some of the slow motion things that are happening. So as he's going to jump, I'm parallel with him. I can see the whole ice to make sure nobody runs us over. So I don't like going the other direction because then I can't really see on my own ice. And I come from very busy ice at my rink. So he's going to triple Lutz. We're not quite there yet. Here, let me just move this out of the way here. I can't see his feet. Hold on, we're going to back him up. Okay, so I'm going to have space. I'm going to be parallel with the boy. I'm just going to control the rope. And notice as he's going into it, I've got just a little bit, about 1 pound of tension so that as he jumps, that bar doesn't crack him in the head. He's going to rotate. It's not quite there yet. Obviously, I'm stopping his head from hitting the ice, but I've had plenty of skaters fall in harnesses, but it's not a bad fall. Like it's really not a bad fall. And then from there, we come back and look at the video. So Sheila's face. Okay, all right, good. So that's a really good video there. Here's another one. I've got Debbie Warren Jacobson coaching this athlete. And this is a nice example too, just so that you can see her move with the kid, parallel to the kid. As the kid jumps under the line, she's just there to support it. Notice she's not over pulling. She's not trying to crank the kid up into the ceiling. That is truly dangerous. And I talk all the time. There's a really, my favorite line is don't ever call Jimmy Santee over a PSA. Deal with it internally. Don't ever call Jimmy, okay, is my slogan within all coaching. But there's a really famous video that obviously has been taken down of a coach hoisting a 4-year-old up to the ceiling in an on ice harness and floating her down the line and saying she was Tinkerbell. And to be honest, I called Jimmy because really this little girl is easily 40 feet in the air. And if you deal with little kids, you'll know they're kind of squids. They can fall out of harnesses. They can slide out of a jacket very easily. And the little girl would have died. Like absolutely, it was a 40-foot fall if that kid would have slid out of that harness. So obviously, for safety of the athlete and the coach, the child, you're only trying to give them all this much more, maybe extra lift. I'm trying to give them an inch or two of extra lift. I'm not trying to hoist them 15 feet in the air, leave them there, slide them down the ice and call them Tinkerbell. It's not designed for that. And that's not how any harness should be treated, even for an ice show. Because I had someone ask, well, can we use it for an ice show like that? And I'm like, no, no, you cannot Tinkerbell a kid down the harness, even for an ice show. Just saying, okay? That was a bad idea. So one more time with some more screen share here. So you can see Debbie barely helps the kid, okay? So she runs down the ice this direction, and then after the kid jumps, they'll actually have like a little lesson coming back to the wall. So I'm really fond actually of harnesses that go widthwise rather than lengthwise. And sometimes we have to do lengthwise based on the building structure. But the thing is that if it's lengthwise, as a coach, I'm kind of standing out in the middle of the road and I'm gonna get run over. And I really can't get out of other skaters' way because I'm in the middle of the ice on a lengthwise. So the nice thing about it, at the ends of the rink, then I can just go back and forth and kind of watch the ice easier and make sure that I'm not getting run over or the kid's getting run over and we're still maintaining ice flow. I do want to add in the concept that if another coach comes over to me, it's like, hey, Sheila, we want to use the harness next. The protocol at our rink is I have 3 more tries with that kid, so I don't have to instantly end a lesson. I can flow a little bit easier with the coaching staff. So then I got 3 more quick tries with the kid, then I'm done, open up the harness, next kid goes in. And then they have it for at least 5 to 7 minutes before the next coach comes over and is like, hey, Debbie, can I go next? She's like, yep, 3 more tries. So the kid finishes their 3 more tries, and then the next coach gets it. At our rink, if we have 5 hours of ice, we use our harness for 5 hours. I stand there all day long teaching double axles and single axles, back and forth, back and forth. That's all I do all day long. Harness, 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 harness. And coaches will send kids over to me, send them back. Like I just run harness all day long. But we do really, really try and share it. Let me quick do just a couple more screen shares because I love this. Here we go. I think that's a great video. But notice she's not over helping the kid. So one more here. So this is Debbie actually with an adult skater. And I think it just shows the flexibility of the harness. We also have a weighted ball at the bottom of ours, which is really nice. I also suggested that your club tie a knot in the directions, like right up here. Actually, let me just show this on the last video because it shows that little bit higher ceiling. So I would tie a knot in the rope, like on the coach's side. Okay, so ready? On the coach's side at about this point. So if Debbie let go of the rope, it wouldn't unstring. Does that make sense? Okay, so like, I think that's really important. So I tie a knot on the coach's side up at the very top, and I actually measure it so that the harness won't lay on the floor. Okay, because I just don't want it to get dirty and grungy on the side of the rink when you flip it over the boards, and it's just hanging in a pile on the floor. So I'll put that knot right up here on the coach's side so it doesn't unstring. So coming back to this harness, we also added a weighted ball to it, and we like that. But as she skates, she's gonna tuck that up so that it doesn't trip the coach. So same thing, here comes an adult skater. And Debbie, so you still teach, you still have to teach a lesson. It's really important that you teach a lesson. From there, Debbie kind of tucks up the ball to get it out of the way of her feet. And then she's there to help the skater try and get that backspin motion. Really, if the skater can't do it, they really still probably can't do it in a harness. So to be honest, this adult skater went on to come work with me in the off-ice harness to practice crossing her feet in more of a suspended position to give her time to get those feet to cross. So of course, that's where Debbie's lesson keeps going back and forth to. But the nice part is that she can try new things and feel safe about it in a way that without a harness, you just can't. And so I'm a huge believer in harnesses. because I really feel like that's where kids and adults can really can learn it safely and not have their heads hit the ice. Everything I teach is that's where I feel like I've had my success, is because I've used the harness so much. My athletes just keep moving forward and forward, and we don't have the injuries to have to come back from the injury, much less a head injury, which is awful. And then really, we've done the math on it. One injured kid that buys a chunk of ice just paid for that harness system, because they would miss ice for the next 1 to 2 months, and that would have paid for your harness system. So knobs per dollar and return on investment really does work out. I want to talk about safety just a little bit more, and the fact that remembering that the athlete has to stay right under the line, and the coach, same thing, just a gentle pull as the athlete goes up. I'm not over pulling. I'm also not loose either, because if it's loose, then it's just kind of flopping around the kids' heads. So I just got to keep a nice little tension to it so that I'm there to assist the athlete. For storage purposes, once again, close the body harness, flip it over the boards, and you guys will have, I don't know if you're going to put in a backpack, like a locking backpack, so you can put like a little lock on it, that the coaches would know the code. Ours is off to the side by a lot in an area that doesn't have any access to the public. And ours has a great, I call it our terrifying laminated note. And it says, no unauthorized use of this harness, or $1,000 penalty and banned from the building for 1 year. And we laminated it. And then we also had signs that say cameras in use. And we hung a bunch of old video cameras in the area. Although I had a rink that had vandalism. One of the little boys from a hockey tournament went and destroyed that harness. And it was a great video that they had on security of the little boy with his jersey and his number and his name on the back. And that family got billed $1,500 to replace the harness. So it is something that, can you imagine if your figure skaters cut the hockey nets? Can you imagine what would happen in a rink? Like, mine would implode. So we have a whole thing on politeness to both of our groups, that we're all here to skate and train, and that we respect their equipment and they respect our equipment. And we've had zero problems at our rink. But I love me a laminated, terrifying note next to the gear, just because it's nice for those that are not normally in your building. Security cameras are great too. It's only fair to protect this equipment. Does anyone have any questions? So if I had a left-handed skater, I would stand on their left side. I had to think about that a second. Left side. Okay. So that as they landed, I would be away from them. Okay, so if it's a right-handed skater, I'd stand on their right side so that as they jumped, they landed away from me. And a left-handed skater, I'd stand on their left side so they landed away from me. But then the direction that I want to come on the rink is just kind of different with both kids, because I just like to have as much vision of the rink as possible as the coach. I try to avoid not having my back to the rink as I'm skating with the kid across the ice. I just think that's easier for me. So with that, I have a nice clear view of the ice as we skate down, do the jump, we chat on our way back. It's lesson time. We do it again. Come back, it's lesson time. But there's still so much teaching, I think, that has to be done while you're on a harness, and so I keep teaching it, and each jump has a focus. Like today, your focus is getting those feet crossed, honey. And I use the harness, even on my little kids. Like we do have that little tiny body harness, although here's one little trick. On our body harnesses, you can flip back these rib pads and fold these back just a little bit. Do you see how I kind of folded that back? And then I can make the harness smaller. Okay, so all of our body harnesses have these little front flappy rib pads. So you can take that flappy rib pad, fold it back into the skater, and make the harness significantly smaller without having to switch harnesses. Do you see how I did that? So yeah, it's really kind of a little extra trick from our body harnesses. but it is kind of nice, but I really want that to fit snug. The kid should be able to breathe though, not like, but it's snug. And I do recommend putting on a light jacket or a vest or something, so that just to give them a little bit more padding. Every once in a while, I have kids want to wear just like a tank top in the summer, and boy, that harness really will dig in. Okay, oh my God, especially an off-ice harness, you for sure need a coat. But I do like a light jacket or a coat or something, just so that it doesn't really dig in too hard into their skin. They need to be snug though, so that the kids don't fall out. Okay, how we doing? Any questions? I feel like I've hit all of the components, the body harness. I had videos talking about proper usage. Once again, the goal is just to assist the kid, not to crank them into the ceiling. I really want this to feel like real time to them as they do the jump, so that it feels more real time. And then basic safety, which I think is so important for the coach and the athlete, okay? Obviously, kids shouldn't be skating between you, the coach. There's not someone doing a program. I'm like, no, don't skate between us. That seems obvious. And the other piece too is, of course, sharing the equipment. We're all in this together. So the more polite you can be to each other, the better. How am I doing? Feel free to put any questions in the chat. In the same sense too, I always want to remind everyone that they can always contact me. So my email is sheila@theleninc.com, SHEILA at THELENINC.com. So Sheila@theleninc.com, and also my cell phone number, you can call me. I have hilarious voicemail. So Pasquale Carmelengo did my voicemail. So it's hilarious if I miss you. But my cell phone number is 651-785-6173. And I'm also usually in Central Time Zone, unless I'm traveling, but I do move a lot around the globe. But in that, I'm mostly in Central Time Zone. I also am a big texter. Feel free to text me questions, send me videos. I'm totally open to that. I encourage you to do that. I'd also still like to see a picture of the install just to make sure that it's okay. If someone could just shoot me a couple photos or a video of some of the kids, I just want to make sure that it looks right. I'll
do that hopefully tomorrow.
Perfect. Just get that. Shoot me over a video, just so I can just see everything looks okay. I just like to get a quick visual, make sure it looks right to me.
Okay.
And I'm just so excited for you guys. A great on-ice harness. Oh, you're going to be so happy. The other little thing, realize that I don't know what your line looks like. So in general, I can see some saggy lines around the country. But obviously your arm will be tighter towards the boards as the coach. So sometimes I kind of just move through that middle section, so my arm isn't all dislocated as I move to and from the boards. So I just kind of move like where it really feels comfortable to the coach and the skater to get a nice run and not tear my arms off because of the sag. It's just the reality of harnesses. We can put in a new beam bracket and new lines and new turnbuckle. Ballpark, you could still put my new trolley on our new line in the near future, the next couple of years, before you need a new trolley or a new line or whatever. But a new line, ballpark, runs about $8,500 to $10,000, depending on how much has to go back on that has to be updated. So if you wait 5, 6, 7 years from now, then just budget 10,000. If you do it real soon, then we can use that same trolley and that same skater to coach section, and then to be more like about 8,500. So you kind of get what you've already paid kind of goes towards the next section. And my staff engineer is amazing. The irony is his name is Jason Brown, not the skater, but it seems like fate that he works for us. His name is Jason Brown. So it's fate that he works for us. Obviously, everything we do is insured, but that still is tied to proper usage. So if you still have a kid 40 feet in the air and something happens, that's on the coach. That's not our equipment. That's improper usage of the equipment. If you're trying to hang a dog off it or something weird or doing something stupid or trying to put someone 300 pounds on it, like that's all goes back to proper usage. So be smart, coaches, like be smart, like really think of the safety of your athlete and your own safety. It's all key to it. In the safety, but learning a really hard sport in a quicker way. So perfect. So I'm gonna stop recording. I'll send you the video. It'll be super nice. I'm super entertaining, hopefully. This has been about 42 minutes. So hopefully I haven't taken up too much time. If you have any questions, call me, email me, anything I can do. Enjoy your new harness.
Thank you. Thanks, Sheila.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Stop recording.